Hi, my name is Don H. Krantz. I'm a guitar teacher, and today's lesson will focus on beginning guitar. Now, the first thing that you need to know, I would say, would be the parts of the guitar. So let's just go over this. Here's the headstock. The tuners, I'm not going to get into every part of the tuner, but these are your tuner buttons. If you go counterclockwise, the pitch is going to go higher. If you go clockwise, turning clockwise, the pitch is going to go lower. The strings rest on what's called the nut and the saddles. It's a little bit different on an acoustic guitar. There's just one piece coming across. It's usually plastic, could be bone. On an electric guitar, some have 6 individual saddles like this guitar, and there are 2 screws in the top of each saddle, and there's 1 screw in the back of each saddle. The screw in the back allows the saddle to go forward and back, and that's for adjusting the intonation. That's another lesson. The screws on top, and you would turn them, or a guitar tech would turn them with an Allen wrench. They raise and lower the string height. So the bottom of the string these are your frets, the metal bars going across the fretboard, and this is the neck. The action, again, is the height of from the bottom of the string, each string, to the top of the frets. Determines how high those screws lower and raise the saddle. That determines the action, how high or low the action is going to be. 2 pickups, selector switch for the pickups, select which pickups you're going to use, the body of the guitar, tone and volume knobs, position markers, help you find your position as you're moving up and down the board. Now, placement of the left hand, your thumb should be parallel to the frets. Now, it can go a little bit towards the nut, or maybe a little bit towards the saddle, but you don't want it like that, parallel to the neck. You're not going to have any leverage if you have your thumb like that. You want to keep your thumb kind of parallel, and your thumb's going to change depending on what you're playing, the style of music you're playing. Your thumb can change. It can be way up, or it can be way down, or anywhere in between. You want to use your fingertips to fret or play notes. Now, what you want to do is look at your guitar and determine a 4-fret area that has similar string height, and hopefully it's going to be kind of low. Now, the problem with starting on the 1st fret and playing, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, is that although the action's lower here, the frets are much wider than way up here. And up around the 12th fret, the octave, the frets may be closer together, but the action may be a lot higher, which is going to be an issue fretting notes. So what you want to do is try to find somewhere in the middle, maybe the 4th fret, 5th fret, 6th fret, something in there where your first finger would go down and your other fingers would go down, and they would all have fairly low action. So we're going to start on the high E string. You also need to know the names of your strings. You got low E, 6, these are open A, 5, open D4, open G3, open B2, and the high E string 1. Now some people come up with a little rhyme. Every average, whatever, each string is another word, the beginning of another word. I don't remember learning it that way. I just, what you want to do is know E, A, D, G, B, E, or coming down from the high E, E, B, G, D, A, E, or if you look at the third string, you know it's G. If you look at the fifth string, you know it's A. You can mix it up. Maybe you can have someone in your family or a friend quiz you on it, and it's not that hard, especially because your low E and high E are the same, low E and high E, in standard tuning. So you're only really worried about 4 other A, D, G, B. So it's not that hard. All right, we're going to start on the 5th fret. You're going to keep your fingers curled. You want to keep your nails cut. And the way to determine that is to take your hand, your fretting hand, and just tap the top of the guitar. And if you feel your nail hitting first, then your nails need to be cut. And there are some guitar players who play fingerstyle let the nails of the right hand grow. I play fingerstyle, both hands, I keep my nails cut short. The other thing is you want to use a pick to be playing. You don't want to be picking each note with your thumb. You're going to probably, you could get a blister and you don't want that. So I have 2 picks here. There's all kinds of different styles of picks. This one is a jazz pick. It's smaller, and this one's just a regular size pick we're going to use, and it's medium thickness, and that's what I would suggest. Don't use thin, don't use heavy, use a medium pick. The way you hold the pick is, it looks like a triangle. You hold it by the tip, and then you curl the index finger of the right hand, put the thumb down on the side of your first finger up towards the nail. You put the pick in between, bring down your thumb. The tip of that pick should go in the direction of the nail. So then when you come down, you're right there to pluck the strings. So we're going to start on the high E string, 5th fret, and we're going to keep our fingers curled. And we're going to use our fingertip. We're going to come right up snug to the fret, but we're not going to be on top of the fret. You never want to be on top of the fret for now. Now I'm going to press and then pick the high E string. Now, as far as the pressure that you need to play a note, after doing this for a while, you're going to realize how hard you have to press down. So you start to press, and there's my note. After I hear the note, I don't have to apply any more pressure than what I did to hear the note. Anything more than that is a waste of energy. I'm going to keep my first finger locked down, maybe an anchor you want to call it, and then add my second finger. And I want to try to reach for the next fret. So if my first finger's on the 5th fret, my second finger's on the 6th fret. I'm going to curl that finger, and I'm going to play that note. Now you can pick the note. I'm picking downstrokes, and you can pick once, twice, 3 times, whatever you want to do. Then I'm going to add my 3rd finger, and then I'm going to add my 4th finger, and then I'm going to go backwards. Now, another thing that we have to talk about is really how to hold the guitar. You want to rest it most of my students are resting it on their right leg. Classical players would play this way on the left leg. If I find a student that's starting to get into a bad habit where they're playing and they're resting that arm on the leg, then I make them play this way. And it's impossible. They can't rest their arm. So you want to make sure that you're not resting the arm. The other thing is you may want to use, this is a footrest and it's adjustable. So by putting my foot on the footrest, my leg comes up a little bit and the guitar it's right there between my body, my leg, my arm, and this arm is free to go up and down the board at will, changing positions, playing whatever I want to do. I'm not supporting the guitar with this hand. All right. Now, if you're moving in this direction, up and down the board this way, it's chromatic motion. If you're moving across the board this way, lateral motion. What we're going to do is start on the high E string, and then after we play the 1, 2, 3, 4, play it down, we're going to move to the second string and do the same thing. Now, you're not going to do it that fast. You're probably going to go slow, but I'm just trying to show you. Want to mention that I've learned over the years that one size does not fit all. So what I mean by that is that everyone has different dexterity. Everyone is built a little bit different. Some people have limitations. Some people have had hand injuries. I've taught people over the years, they were injured in football or whatever sport, and I had to modify the fingering of certain chords we were doing just to accommodate what they could do or can't do. And that's what you have to do. You have to make your own decisions and see what you're capable of doing. Now, you may be able to curl your fingers with fingers 1, 2, and 3, but your fourth finger, maybe you can't. And on my hands, I've had surgeries and over the years, and I mean, I'm playing a long time. My fourth finger now, it just doesn't straighten out. I got problems with it, but I get around it. When I'm fretting my fourth finger, I'm coming down with the flat tip of the finger, and that's all right. Works for me, and it can work for you if you have that issue where you can't curl your fingers like that and come down with your fingertips. So I'm gonna start on the high E, I'm gonna move lateral and play that same exercise on all the strings. Okay, that's gonna build muscle memory in my fingers, know where to place my fingers, how hard I have to press, and the lateral motion, as I move along, I may be starting on the high E string, my thumb is a little higher on the back of the neck. And as I move towards my low E, my thumb drops to about the middle of the neck. So the thumb placement changes depending what you're playing or the style of music you might be playing. Scales, modes, whatever you're playing, you can change the position of your thumb accordingly. Let's move on to chords. And the other thing is, I forgot to mention, it's a good idea to have a guitar tuner. All right, this is a clip-on tuner because clips on the headstock. They didn't have anything like that years ago when I started. Technology is unbelievable. You also want to get blank chord chart paper, and you can find that online just by doing a search. There's all kinds of different websites that for free you can make copies, and you can. What's good about that is writing down the chord and the fingers to play that chord, and you may learn a lot faster if you're writing it down and then you see it on a piece of paper like that. Also, I would get a good chord book, and it's going to come in really, really handy. Or there are some apps that are actually very, very good, that you can that they have built-in chord finders, reverse chord finders. So if you're maybe making up a chord, you put in those notes, it'll tell you what you're playing. All right, so an E chord is going to be our first chord. And the first finger goes on the 3rd string, 1st fret. Second finger, 5th string, 2nd fret. Third finger, 4th string, 2nd fret. Now, there is no way that fingers 2 and 3 can be snug up to the 2nd fret. There's no room. It's physically impossible. So all the rules that we talked about, being snug up close to the fret, but don't be on top of the fret, some of those rules bend a little bit when doing the open chords, or any chord for that matter, in a chord position where 2 fingers are like that next to each other on the same fret. But that's okay. That's what you need to do. So my 2nd finger is around the middle of the fret. My 3rd finger is snug to the fret. And my 1st finger also snug up close to the fret. Now, when you're playing these chords, or for that matter, any chord that you're learning for the first time, what you want to do is play it slowly, string by string. Because if you just strum, if you just strum the chord like that, and you're making a mistake and one note isn't coming out, it's being muted somehow by another finger, or the finger is just in the wrong position, you're not going to hear it. It's going to get buried in the chord. But if you play slowly, there's my E chord. Then if I want, I can strum. And when you're strumming down, and I'm trying to hit all the strings at the same time, and I'm moving my wrist, okay, I can move my arm a little bit, but I really don't want to be going like that with a stiff wrist. I want to get into some wrist motion. So that's an E chord. Now, if I want to make that E minor, I lift up my 1st finger, and that becomes E minor. So, oh, what happened there? Muted string. It should be an open string. What you have to learn how to do is self-correct. Learn by what you're doing right and correct what you're doing wrong. So in this case, my 3rd finger, the inside of my 3rd finger is rubbing against the open 3rd string. So I have to arch that finger a little bit higher to allow that 3rd string open to ring out clean like that. And that, by picking each string note by note like that, that's the way you're going to determine if a note's not being played clean. So there's my E minor. Now an A chord, all 3 fingers, 1, 2, and 3, are all on the 2nd fret. So my first finger is on the 4th string, the D string. My second finger is on the 3rd string, or G. My third finger is on the 2nd fret of the B string. So all 3 fingers, and they're slanted because, once again, there's no way that all 3 fingers can be snug up to the fret. It's not going to work. So I play it slowly, and there's my A chord. Now let's go back to an E chord for a minute. If we take that E chord and we move in lateral motion towards the high E string, so each finger moves up 1 string, I have the same type of form of that chord, but I'm on different strings. Same form as E, but I'm on different strings. That's an A minor chord. Now what you can do is you can practice going from A minor to E. Now at the beginning when you're playing these chords, you're probably gonna, especially if you don't have memorized, you're gonna be going 1, where does 1 go, where does 2 go, where does 3 go, and what chord is that, and okay, that's A minor. But eventually, after they're memorized, what you want to shoot for, this holds true for any chord you're playing, is you want to place whatever fingers you're using to play that chord form down at the same time. Okay? If you're playing an E chord, I'm putting all 3 fingers down at the same time. And that's going to help you when you're playing songs where you're making it easier to go from chord to chord in the correct rhythm. And if you're playing at a fast tempo, it'll make it that much easier. So it really, no matter what you're playing, if you're playing a dominant 7, I'm going right for the chord. If I'm playing a minor 7, going right for the chord. And that's what you have to start thinking about. Just putting little seeds in your head, stuff to think about when you're playing. Let's do a D chord. Looks like a triangle. And you might want to start associating like an A chord, they're all in a line. Maybe an E chord is kind of a triangle, or whatever you come up with to try associate to memorize these chords would help. D looks like a triangle. My first finger is on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. My second finger is on the high E string 2nd fret, and my third finger 2nd string 3rd fret. Do not play the low E with the chord. You can play the A string with that chord. Same way with an A chord, you could play the low E. You're adding the 5th under the chord inversion, another lesson. So that's a D chord. A G chord, and there's a lot of different ways to play a G chord. And that really, I'm talking about an open G chord. These are open chords, sometimes called cowboy chords. So the G chord, we're going to play our first finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string. Our second finger on the 6th string 3rd fret, and our third finger on the high E string 3rd fret, and there's our G chord. And again, you want to play it slowly, and then you can strum. Now, what you want to do is start changing your chords, going maybe from a G to an E minor to a D to an A. Just keep mixing it up. Just as an exercise. If you want to play a song, you could do like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. You could start in 4/4 time, or 4 beats in a measure. You'd start on A, you'd play it 4 times. Then the next measure, you'd go to D, you'd hit it twice, back to A, twice, back to D, next measure, twice, to A, next measure, E, back to A. Everyone knows how Twinkle Twinkle Little Star goes, so if you want to sing it or talk it, you're going to almost hear, hopefully, the chord changes. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. So this was your very first guitar lesson, and if you like it, look for other videos to come. You can join my YouTube channel. You can visit my website. There are other videos up there a little bit more advanced, but this is a good place to start. And good luck. Good luck with your playing. I hope you succeed and you have years of a good time playing your guitar. It's only going to get better. Thank you.